Hi, friends. How's it going? I've been a little bit reluctant to share about this on my channel, but here we are. I think I might move to England. I've been reluctant sharing about this with too many people for a couple of reasons. For one, I'm still kind of learning what type of content I want to produce for my channel. So if you follow me, you'll know that I produce a majority of Qigong tutorials and then some videos on spirituality, metaphysical concepts, and energy work. And in these videos, you get to see mostly the end product. Like I've done the work and then I share tips and tools on how I've worked through things, or I'm like actually guiding you through something in real time. It's not often that I share the journey as it unfolds, and so me doing that right now by letting you know that I'm planning on moving to England, it feels a little vulnerable. A big part of me kind of just wanted to move there in silence and then show up and be like, surprise, and then tell you how I got there. But I figured, why not document the process? I'm still very much in the very beginning, early stages of this process. And so I noticed that within me, there is fear around one, not being able to achieve this move and then feeling like a failure, even though I obviously wouldn't actually be a failure for not moving. Like, it's a silly thought, but I recognize that it's still there, right? Two, I don't want to jinx it by sharing it out loud with so many people. And three, it's just very personal. I want to unpack these thoughts just a little bit. So for my first fear, feeling like a failure if it doesn't actually come through and I don't actually move to England, although I do validate that there will probably be disappointment if this doesn't happen, there's always going to be a voice that's louder that reminds me, if not this, then something better. No matter where we end up, it's always purposeful for our growth. And I'm also reminded that life is not meant to be controlled. I'm never going to know exactly what's going to happen until it happens. I believe that our manifestations and creations are a collaborative effort with the universe rather than something that's merely commanded and then expected of. All right, number two, I'm nervous that by saying it out loud and sharing it publicly and openly, I might jinx myself. I'm very aware of the fact that in sharing your goals, you subject yourself to other people's opinions and thought forms. And there's so much of my life that I want to keep private. And I also know that there's so much development that's going to occur throughout this process of sharing me building, working towards this desire. I also don't think I want to buy into the idea that we shouldn't celebrate and share our joys and excitement. I would rather spend my energy on believing in myself and building my desire rather than feeding into anxiety and paranoia. That being said, I'm asking you to do your part and just please don't evil eye me. I'm already working on my energetic hygiene. I'm going to do it regardless, but I'd rather not go into overdrive, so thank you. And finally, I do have a little fear around this being super personal because I'm still discovering what I want to share on my channel. Whenever you start a YouTube channel, some of the most common advice that you get is to find a niche, and then once you find that niche, make that niche even smaller, and then you get that smaller niche, and then you niche it down even more. And then you're supposed to stick to that niche and create content based on the confines of that niche. And although I completely understand why that works, I just don't think it works for me. Right now with my channel, I'm not really into the idea of sticking to one micro niche. I have things like tutorials, vlogs, whatever format this video is. I'm just figuring it out. And it might not be the best for the algorithm, but it is the best for my authenticity, which is what my goal is in sharing. And I hope that's okay with you because I'm very grateful that you're here and I'm really happy that you're a part of this. Who knows? I might be talking to myself right now. Maybe everyone's clicked off, but I'm happy knowing that I'm creating the things that bring me joy. So, all this B roll that you're watching right now is footage from my most recent trip to England. And as you can probably tell, I had a freaking blast. These trips to England mean so much more to me than a vacation at this point now, because when I go and visit, I look at it through the lens of, can I live here happily? And oddly enough, even though it's so different from what I'm used to, I'm finding that that answer is yes. You might be like, Mika, oh my god, it's not that different from America. And I hear you, of all the countries to move to, it's not that different, I guess, but it still is, okay? And even 2 years ago, moving to England for me was a hard, impossible no. I touched about it briefly in my video 5 years later, making soup in England, and I shared the fact that there were so many culture shocks that I experienced when I spent my year abroad in Brighton, England. And that, paired with my really poor mental state at the time, kind of scarred me on the idea of living in England ever. Like, it really was an impossible, absolutely not, never in my life would I move there, but I would come back and visit. And what's been interesting is being able to come back and back and back and slowly feel myself changing on that opinion. England was where I had my first true spiritual awakening, and it's also where I had my first dark night of the soul. Thankfully, in hindsight, I'm able to look at my past now with so much gratitude. Obviously, I wasn't able to back then, but I think time has given me the gift of distance and being able to look at my situation through a different lens. And I think that definitely softens the hard edges of my experience. When I had lived in England previously, I felt super ungrounded, chaotic, and I think I was really focused on the lack of spices, lack of sunshine, lack of me not being able to drive my own car, things like this. And I think I was in resistance to accepting England as it was and wanting it to be more like America rather than just embracing the full experience. I completely understand why I felt that way. Like, as a young person, it was a big change in a short amount of time. And so I accept that understanding as well. It was completely valid to feel that way and have a preference. But now, in hindsight, as I'm older, I'm able to look at the energetics behind it, which is kind of cool. What hindsight has also gifted me is the reminder that we are only able to receive what we're available for. England has such a beautiful energy, especially out in nature, like all the green and the water. It's just breathtaking. And on this most recent trip, I was really able to feel connected to this energy and I felt solid and grounded. And it made me realize it's not England that's changed, but it's me. There are so many resources around me that I hadn't realized before. And now I have the tools to be able to use those resources to replenish myself and nurture myself and feel safe in this different country. There's also this deeper understanding as well that building this relationship had to take time. Like, building the relationship with the land itself and then building the relationship with the people within the land. So I have a long distance relationship boyfriend, Callum, and it's taken all of this time for us to build this relationship. We obviously could not have rushed it for it to feel as solid and grounded as it does now. We've been in a long distance relationship for over 5 years, and it's been challenging at times, and there have definitely been moments in the past where we've both wanted to just speed up the process and move to each other's different countries. But, we always knew that that was never the answer until it felt truly right. Even if we did make the move, there probably would have been a lot of resentment amongst ourselves because neither of us have actually felt fully ready. And I'm a frickin' Pisces, so spontaneity is my bestie. And even knowing that and being built like that, I still knew it wasn't the right move to just jump into this blindly. Like, how silly and quirky would it be of me to just pack up all of my things and move to England on a whim? But it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't, at least not for me. The biggest factors for me were needing to feel safe and supported. And to do that, it really took a lot of inner work and healing and patience and time. And it's not a process that could have been rushed. And to be fair, I don't know if I'll ever feel fully ready, but I do have this nudge, this urge, this rope that's tying me to make this leap. And I find that super exhilarating and nerve wracking and very intriguing, and I'm ready to step into it. That's something that I can confidently say. I'm ready to step into it even if I'm afraid. One time I was in the Philippines and we were cliff diving, and when I got to the top of the cliff, I was shooketh and really scared, and I didn't want to jump. And I turned to the guide next to me and I was like, oh my God, I'm so afraid. What do I do if I'm so scared? And he looked at me and really calmly he said, if you're afraid, then scream. Simple. That moment was so profound to me, even though it was so casual, because it really exemplified the idea that we shouldn't run away from our emotions, to embrace them and to let them have space to express themselves. And, don't run away from life. Just let yourself feel the weird, uncomfortable things. We can't go through life trying to edge proof everything. We have to lean into it. And if that makes you afraid, then scream. We did a lot of fun and new exciting things that I had never done in England before on this trip. And one of those things was going mackerel fishing. These videos that you're watching right now are from a town called Swanage, and it was from Swanage that we took the boat to head out to sea. I was really hoping we'd catch some mackerel because I am a fishy girl and I love fishy, fishy fish. I think it's because I'm Filipina and the fish that we eat in the Philippines are quite pungent, and mackerel is a very strong tasting fish. We didn't end up catching anything, but it was still a beautiful experience. When I'm traveling in England, my taste palette tends to lean towards more of that comfort and safety that I was talking about earlier. It helps kind of help me solidify the idea that this could be my new home. And so, something that was really awesome when I was there on this trip was being able to visit Asian stores and see all the Filipino products that they had available. Takis and Flaming Hot Cheetos were also so readily available. I know they're not the best for you, but they're good for my soul. And I remember when I lived in Brighton before, it was so difficult for me to find Takis and Hot Cheetos, and my body craved it. I needed that spice. I needed that hot chip. And it was really exciting to see that it's everywhere now. I know England gets a lot of flack for not having good food, and trust me, I was one of those people who really was an advocate for that belief. However, in the more recent years, I've come to the realization that England has probably always had good food because there's a lot of diversity in the food, because there's a lot of diversity in the people. It's just that back in the day when I lived there, I didn't have a lot of money to be spending it on good food. So I think I was leaning towards the bland, unfulfilling cuisine because it was cheaper. So nowadays, I get to explore and eat the foods that really entice me, and I get to enjoy so much more. And I have to say, I no longer believe that England has bad food. Every now and then I'll still be craving my spice kick, and when I order something that's advertised to be spicy, it turns out to be not spicy at all. And to remedy that, I just get a vindaloo. Indian food is so good in England, super authentic, and their vindaloos are fire, literally. So yeah, that about concludes this video. The cat's out of the bag. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you stay and watch as this journey unfolds. Just remember, no evil eyes. If you're on your spiritual path as well and would like to work with me one-on-one, I am an energy work practitioner, and I specialize in helping you feel your feelings, get to the roots, realign with your authentic energies, and awaken your own inner healer. So all of the links to working with me are listed in the description, and you can even book a free consultation to see if we're a good fit. Alrighty, that's all for now, so I'll catch you later. See ya. Bye.